This was my wish.
Weather expertise.
David Paul.
11 News. We go there.
This is a rebroadcast of tonight's 11 News 10 o'clock report.
Now, 11 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Greg Hurst.
And I'm Lisa Ferranda. Thanks for joining us.
We have late-breaking developments tonight in the disappearance of Baylor basketball player Patrick Dennehy.
There has been an arrest in Chestertown, Maryland. His former teammate and roommate was booked on a murder charge tonight. He is Carlton Dotson, who has been called a person of interest all along in the investigation.
Dotson was fingerprinted and processed in Chestertown just before 8:30 tonight, some 55 miles from his hometown. But the murder warrant was issued in Waco. Last week, Dotson voluntarily submitted to questioning for about 2 hours in Cambridge, Maryland, and the murder charge came after he voluntarily gave an interview again. This time, he called the FBI and talked to agents. Dennehy vanished June 12. As far as we know, he hasn't been found. His Chevy Tahoe did turn up June 25th in a strip mall parking lot in Virginia Beach, Virginia. Now, according to an earlier search warrant affidavit, an unidentified informant reported to Delaware authorities that Dotson told a cousin he shot Dennehy as the two argued while shooting 9mm handguns in the Waco area. On Friday, police there were trying to determine if a 9mm found at Dotson's apartment complex was connected to the case. We will continue to monitor this story and have more for you just as soon as it comes in.
Back here at home, a candlelight memorial was held for 4 young people shot to death at a home in the 3700 block of Millbridge in Clear Lake. 11 News reporter Jeff McShann brings us up to the minute on this investigation.
Dozens came to remember. They gathered in the driveway under an oak tree, all there to pray.
I thank you, Father.
And to pay their respects to 4 young people that died. There were many tears. Marcus Priscilla and Tiffany Rowell had been together dating for 4 years, both Clear Lake High School graduates. Friday, they died together inside their home, along with 2 others, Rachel Coloradis and Adelbert Sanchez. Marcus's grandmother was grateful so many attended to remember.
Marcus was very lovable. I would have called him and said, I love you, Grandma. Matter of fact, last weekend, he hugged me. He said, I love you, Grandma. I love you, Diane, and Yolanda. That's with him. He was raised like that.
So those are the things that you're going to remember the most.
Yeah.
Jesus loves the little children.
Tonight, the memories of their loved ones are strong, thanks to dozens who gathered under the tree in the driveway.
Black and white, they are precious.
And back here live in Clear Lake tonight, we can tell you we've been on the phone with HPD Homicide. They've got a number of calls. They are checking out every possible lead. In fact, some of the people that came to this street here tonight actually had some information for the police as well. There was some police activity here on this particular street for security reasons. So perhaps one of these leads will pan out very soon. Reporting live from Clear Lake, I'm Jeff McShann, 11 News.
5 Houston police officers have been suspended without pay for 10 days for being what the department calls unavailable for duty. 3 of them work out of the Northeast Patrol, 2 out of Lake Patrol. HPD says all of the officers were not where they were supposed to be at various times during various shifts.
HPD is also trying to find a man wanted for a series of robberies in the areas around Rice University, Montrose, and West University Place. The bandit has struck at least 20 times between January and March. He usually has a weapon drawn when he confronts his victims. Witnesses report he may be driving a dark green Toyota Camry or a black Nissan Maxima.
A widow is demanding answers tonight about why Fort Bend County EMS did not respond sooner when her husband was dying of a heart attack in the River Park subdivision just off the Grand Parkway. Zora Muselli says she called EMS immediately after her husband, 43-year-old Rod Muselli, had the attack, and that she tried to administer CPR while still talking to dispatchers.
I said, I'm doing what I can. But where in the hell the ambulance is?
It took 18 minutes for the ambulance to arrive, and by that time, Muselli was dead. A copy of a dispatcher's log obtained by 11 News shows the ambulance was delayed because it had no key map or street name. EMS officials have not returned our calls.
A homeless man who became Montgomery County's first victim of the West Nile virus this season is talking about his ordeal for the first time. From a relative's home near Huntsville tonight, he told 11 News reporter Sherman Chow just how close he came to dying.
Even a simple trip down the front steps is a major effort for Bill Larimore.
The heat and the mosquitoes. If you can beat that, then you got, no problem.
Turns out it was a tiny mosquito that nearly beat him.
I lost all control of my right arm. This is limited. You know, my feeling is there. I just can't use it.
Bad financial times left the day laborer homeless. He'd set up camp here in the Conroe Woods, infected with mosquitoes. Larimore got sick in June.
I got back to the camp, went to sleep, and that's where I stayed for about 6 days. I couldn't hardly get out of bed. I couldn't get to the water, couldn't get to the food.
Finally, a friend stopped by to visit and called 911. Larimore spent more than 3 weeks at the Conroe Regional Medical Center. He was diagnosed with West Nile virus, bronchitis, and meningitis. He'd lost some 40 pounds and much of his energy.
Larimore had stayed at the camp on and off for a year, but never told his family. And they said they were hurt when they found out, and his sister has taken him in now for the time being.
With medication and therapy, the 46-year-old hopes to recover fully, but the doctors offer no guarantees.
If I don't, I got to rethink my life again.
Near Huntsville, Sherman Chow, 11 News.
Another Montgomery County resident has also come down with West Nile, and 2 people in Harris County have gotten it. There have been no deaths, though, this year. A small patio fire at an apartment complex at Goodson and Chipman in North Houston spread quickly into a 3-alarm inferno that sent people running for cover. The flames raced through a common attic at the Regency Crossing Apartments, and before the fire could be put out, 16 units were destroyed. More than 75 firefighters responded, and 1 was taken to the hospital with burns. Fortunately, all the residents got out.
Maintenance people were knocking on doors for everybody to get out, and that's the last one. Everything just went up in flames.
As soon as I walked out, the whole patio was on fire, and I just seen the lady crying, and I told her what happened. She says it's on fire.
The management company says it's working to put residents up at its other properties.
A power outage at an East Houston oil refinery caused pressure to build up and triggered a burn-off that sent smoke and flames spewing into the sky. The scene looked ominous, even from a distance. But company officials say the burn-off proves their safety plan works.
Things did not go nearly as well at a refinery in Ponca City, Oklahoma. An explosion there injured 3 people, 1 critically. The refinery is one of 12 owned by Houston-based Conoco. The company says workers saw gasoline leaking before that explosion.
Homeowners who got whacked by Hurricane Claudette could get financial help from the federal government this week. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, is expected to set up shop on the island as early as tomorrow. The hurricane destroyed 1 house and heavily damaged 140 others. Tonight, the Galveston City Council voted to extend the state of emergency for 1 more week. And this story is coming to you tonight through our partnership with the Galveston County Daily News. You'll find more in tomorrow's paper.
2 candidates in the Houston mayor's race have picked up some high-profile support. Orlando Sanchez has received the endorsement of Texas Governor Rick Perry, and one of his opponents, Sylvester Turner, now has the backing of the Harris County AFL-CIO. Both men have run for mayor before.
Another stretch of the Houston Hike and Bike Trail opened tonight. The new North Side Trail connects the University of Houston's downtown campus to Sesquicentennial Park. More than 200 miles of bike paths have been built in Houston, and more than 100 miles more are planned. Coming up on 11 News, Houston's Hispanic community gets national recognition.
Harry Potter didn't really live here with the Dursleys, but you could.
Few people would do what this woman did to pay off all her bills.
The president sends in the Marines when the U.S. Embassy in Liberia comes under fire.
And it's been another deadly day for Americans in Iraq.
You know, certain times of the year, it's just a perfect time to save money on a new car or truck, and this is one of them right now. Hey, folks, Tile Park here at Ron Carter and Alvin. All 4s are in production. Many of them are starting to arrive, and during our summer sell down, we're selling down the inventory to make room. It's a great time for you with tremendous factory incentives, low interest rates, our huge discounts, not to mention our huge selection. If you're looking for a GMC Envoy or Yukon or Denali, we have rows of these to choose from. You know, you can buy a brand new Chevy Suburban right now during the summer sell down at Ron Carter and Alvin for only $28,997. Proof positive, we give you more. You can buy a brand new Silverado extended cab pickup for $18,500. That's just an example. If you're looking for a 2-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, long or short wheelbase, regular cab, extended cab, crew cab, the heavy duties, they're all here marked down to move out. Just call toll free at 1-866-RON-CARTER or log on to roncarter.com. See all of our inventory and even more great ways to save money just south of high prices at Ron Carter in Alvin.
Rick's Furniture would like to thank you for the tremendous response. To show our appreciation, we're taking 30 to 70% off the entire store, including major name brands. Need a sofa? We've got all types of high-quality name brand sofas, 30 to 70% off. and a huge selection of mattresses. Beautiful dinette sets like this one, or this one, or this one, all 30 to 70% off. Rick's Furniture, name brands for less.
Reporting that looks for more than news. Reporting that looks for answers. 11 News at 10.
United States troops are now on duty in 139 nations around the world. The Marines have been on the move in Liberia today, following the worst fighting there in 2 months.
As reporter Terry Okita tells us, they were called in to protect 2 U.S. Embassy compounds hit by mortar fire.
After a mortar strike on the American embassy in Monrovia, U.S. Marines swooped in by helicopter to protect it and evacuate foreign aid workers and journalists. An all-out battle has erupted between troops under Liberian President Charles Taylor and rebel forces who want him out.
We just sent a group of troops in to protect our interests, and we're concerned about our people in Liberia. We'll continue to monitor the situation very closely.
Caught in the crossfire, thousands of Liberians who have endured years of civil unrest. In recent weeks, the situation has escalated, and they're begging the United States to intervene and avoid a humanitarian crisis.
The situation in Monrovia is becoming desperate. The U.S. diplomatic residential compound at Greystone is crammed with over 10,000 displaced persons who have fled the recent fighting.
The West African nation of Liberia has strong historical ties to America. It was founded more than 150 years ago by freed American slaves, and the capital, Monrovia, is named after U.S. President James Monroe. But that's where the ties basically end. Before the Bush administration agrees to send peacekeepers in, it wants President Taylor to step down, something Taylor pledges he'll do only after peacekeeping forces are in place. And now Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld has signed the order for 4,500 more Marines and soldiers to position themselves closer to Liberia. They'd be deployed for peacekeeping, evacuations, and other undetermined missions. In Washington, Terry Okita, 11 News.
Also tonight, more attacks to report on Americans in Iraq.
A remote-controlled bomb killed 1 U.S. soldier and his Iraqi interpreter. 3 other members of the 1st Armored Division squad were also hurt.
A street vendor pulled one of them out of the Humvee that was targeted, and the military says that probably saved his life. President Bush says he's trying to convince more countries to send in troops to help restore order.
Rescued American POW Jessica Lynch, still recovering from broken bones, will leave the hospital in Washington and fly home to West Virginia tomorrow. Today, she was awarded the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart, and Prisoner of War medals.
Lynch's hometown of Palestine has been getting ready for her return home. They've decked out the trees with yellow ribbons and hung banners. They've even put up a permanent sign at the city limit claiming bragging rights to the state's most famous soldier. And talk about ships passing in the night. 2 brothers from Katy are getting to see each other for only a few days as one heads to and one returns from duty in the Middle East. Brian and Kevin Kephart are petty officers with the U.S. Navy. They went to boot camp together but serve on different ships.
Houston is 3rd in the country in Latino population. We're behind Los Angeles and Miami. But a new survey of where the most Hispanics are running their own big businesses found something surprising. 11 News reporter Dave Failing has tonight's Up Close.
From entertainment to construction to restaurants, people with Spanish in their blood are doing business in Houston.
I think there's 35,000 Hispanic-owned businesses in Harris County today.
35,000.
35,000.
That's a lot of mostly small businesses, but what about big business? In a city where Hispanics now make up nearly 40% of the population, it is surprisingly difficult to find just one that owns a truly big business. Big as in car dealerships or construction companies that bring in tens of millions of dollars annually. The 500 biggest such Hispanic-owned businesses in the country were ranked by Hispanic Business Magazine. Many were in Miami, a few in Fort Worth and San Antonio, but to find one in Houston, you'd have to scroll down all the way to number 69, the Plaza Group.
I am very surprised by that.
Randy Velarde owns it.
Chemical solvents.
That's his wife. The company has only a handful of employees, but has done $90 million a year in the business of selling petrochemicals.
Hispanics are as ambitious as anyone.
Why then haven't more made it as big as he has in Houston? It rarely happens overnight. And while Houston has huge numbers of Hispanics, Many are relative newcomers compared to generations-old families in, say, San Antonio. Richard Hubner is with the Minority Business Council.
The Hispanic businesses have been around for a long time. The Hispanic community there is much more mature than in Houston, which is largely fueled by immigrants.
What's more, many big businesses are initially started by young executives who left even bigger corporations, which is what Randy Velarde did when he left Texaco. But he says in Houston's dominant industry, energy, there just weren't many Hispanics.
I think it's growing. I think the strides made in just the last 5 to 10 years have been tremendous.
And one example.
It was a big step, of course.
May be Brian Rojas.
Client's going to love it.
5 years ago, Rojas left Exxon and with 2 partners started Acumen, a company that develops new designs for products and stores.
It makes you feel like a star.
Diverse and young, the company looks like the new Houston.
They happen to be from Puerto Rico or African American, Guam.
Rojas was one of the first in his family to go to college, and this is a dream in action.
Pursue your dream, get the education, get the odds on your side, and then do what you want to do.
And while a relatively small company now,
I look forward to you coming by here when our name is in that list and ask us how we did it.
It may very well be how Hispanics and other non-Anglos will make it big in Houston business. Education, innovation, and hard work so that in years to come, Houston won't rank so far down on the list. Dave Failing, 11 Up Close.
Well, still not bad, and here is one comparison in which Houston does do well. While it may not have any Hispanic-owned companies in the top 50, Houston does have a total of 20 in the top 500, which is twice as many as there are in San Antonio, LA, and Chicago. Reliant Energy is reaching out to the Hispanic community. The company now has a Spanish-language website with all of the features of the English version, including online bill paying.
Featuring tonight, hot weather. More of it. Southwest Houston looking over the interstate. 84 degrees with an 81-degree dew point. Mario, you walk outside and you feel like you're instantly taking a shower.
Oh, gosh, do you ever?
It's horrible.
Yeah, the heat index values were actually above 100 through about the 8 o'clock hour.
Oh, my goodness.
So it was really unusual for the Houston area. A very hot afternoon, a sweltering day, typical July fare, really, as things go here in town. Very little, if any, rain around the afternoon. We did see a few thunder showers pop up in the far eastern sections of our viewing area, around the Highlands and on I-10, but they didn't last too long. In fact, the heat of the afternoon pretty much vanished. These thunder showers, you can see them disappearing right off the scope later in the evening hours, but they were around, at least in a few locations, not many, but they helped put the heat down in a few locations this afternoon. Talking about sweltering heat, look at Houston's numbers this afternoon, 96 degrees. Those numbers are 2 degrees above average, our record at 101. Numbers in the morning at 78, so it looks like we could be right back down there again tomorrow morning, but it's going to be a while before we get there, considering it's still in the 80s around town, and it's 10 o'clock at night, 83 at Hobby, 84 on Galveston Island. It's a very warm 87 at Bush, and we've been seeing sweltering numbers across North Texas throughout the weekend. A ridge of high pressure moved over the western sections and northern half of the state of Texas over the weekend. That brought a string of 100-degree days to the Red River Valley, including Dallas, Fort Worth, and points westward towards El Paso. Houston hit 96, but it looks like we're probably going to do it again tomorrow, all because this ridge is firmly planted across this end of the state, and it's bringing across a very, very sinking air motion across the region and very warm, steamy air out of the Gulf of Mexico. This high will tend to work its way back to the west and opening the door for a trough of low pressure and a weather front to dive into the state sometime around Wednesday. So we'll see a bit of a reprieve from the thunder showers around midweek, at least a reprieve from some of the heat, but it doesn't look like we're going to see too many thunder showers thereafter. It looks like the front will stall across North Texas tomorrow afternoon. Then we'll see it getting closer to Houston around the middle part of the week. Notice these thunderstorms that flare up near the western and eastern sections of the weather front across the Gulf Coast area on Wednesday. I think we'll sneak a couple of thunder showers in here, and then after that, it is all back into the mid-90s, much like tomorrow here in Houston. Our neighbors to the south saw a beautiful day. At least in Acapulco was 90. It was cool in Mexico City at 77. How will Houston fare for the next few days? Well, it looks like we'll start off with much the same weather tomorrow, then we'll double up our rain chances by Wednesday due to the proximity of the front. By Thursday, some leftover moisture, and as the storm continues to build up across the Gulf Coast on Wednesday, we'll be looking forward to some cooling downpours in some parts of the city by then. Have a great week.
In the meantime, we'll towel off.
All right.
Thanks.
She asked, and boy, did she receive, clearing her credit card debt.
A famous place on Privet Drive could be yours for the right price.
And a favorite at the Tour de France goes down hard.
Right now, your Texas Dodge dealers have added some huge extras to the great deals at the Dodge Summer Sales Drive during a special 72-hour event. Get lube, oil, and filter changes at no extra charge for 3 to 7 years. Plus, your choice of cash allowances of up to $4,500 and no monthly payments until 2004. Or 0% APR financing on select models. Plus, get Dodge's 7-year or 70,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. But you better get rolling because this 72-hour event ends Monday, July 21st.
David suffered with back pain for over 35 years.
The only way that I could experience any relief from my back pain would be to sit down. I was getting to the point where I could not stand more than 5, 10, 15 minutes at a time.
Then he called Texas Spine Medical Center.
I feel like the treatments I've gotten have been extremely important. The improvement that I've experienced has been absolutely awesome.
Call Texas Spine Medical Centers day or night for a consultation or free information. There's no reason to suffer anymore.
Many who gave us so much now depend on nursing homes for their care. I'm Robert Vaughn. Time magazine tells us that nursing home neglect or abuse has occurred at an alarming rate and suggests that it could be in part causing as many as 35,000 deaths per year. If a nursing home has caused injury to your loved one, they should be held responsible. Tell them you mean business. Call 1-800-WIN-WIN-1, Smith & Hassler, right now.
They couldn't be more different. Annika, buttoned up, meticulous, and intense. Freddie, the ultimate natural, loose and laid back. But Sorenstam and Couples also have a great deal in common, including enormous talent and a fierce will to win. They also share an appreciation for fine timepieces. Rolex.
Come see the outstanding selection at IW Marks, your official Rolex jeweler.
The biggest jazz festival in Texas is the Centerpoint Energy Houston International Jazz Festival. 15 bands, 2 big days, Latin, contemporary, and smooth jazz, August 1st and 2nd at the Verizon Wireless Theater and Jones Plaza. The Centerpoint Energy Houston International Jazz Festival. Tickets at all Ticketmaster outlets.
We have more now on those late-breaking developments in the disappearance of Baylor basketball player Patrick Dennehy.
As we told you at the top of the newscast, his former teammate and roommate was arrested tonight in Chestertown, Maryland, and charged with murder.
Just a little while ago, Dennehy's stepfather told a reporter by phone that if guilty, Dotson deserves the most severe punishment.
Just can't believe that something like this would happen to such a great boy as Carlton.
You can stay with 11 News for up-to-the-minute coverage of this developing story.
A lot of Americans have a lot of credit card debt, but most people probably wouldn't turn to the internet to ask strangers to get rid of it.
No, I wouldn't think so. Karen Bosnick, who's in her 20s, had a 6-figure income, but then lost her job in New York City.
Here we go. I'm paid off. It's my Credit Card of America certificate.
Well, there you go. Just goes to show you never know unless you ask. Bosnick started a website called SaveKaren.com. Many people gave her money, some more than $20,000 it added up to, everything from donations of pennies to $500 a pop.
One man who contributed $50 thinks it was worthwhile.
Why would you give money to someone who got themselves in trouble at Gucci?
So I think that's a little more than just begging, than just panhandling. It's sort of like singing for your dinner. And I think that makes a difference.
SaveKaren.com was one of the first sites of its kind, but there are now literally hundreds of cyber beggars. Bosniak says it never felt weird taking other people's money. In fact, she says it just felt good to get it and pay off another bill.
SaveGreg.com under construction. All right, now a look ahead to the morning.
Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah Duncan. Tomorrow on 11 News This Morning, DIVORCE. There are a lot of myths surrounding divorce, especially here in Texas. Like, for example, how much alimony can you get, if any at all? Do wives always get half? And do mothers always get custody of the children? Surprising answers from our legal experts. Join us tomorrow morning from 5 till 8.
Still ahead tonight, the Astros try to pound the Pirates in Pittsburgh.
Plus, a mess in the mountains as Lance Armstrong takes a scary spill during the Tour de France.
You go from a kid who traveled the world with her military dad to a reporter and anchor in Austin. You go to New York to start a talk show, Dallas to anchor a news show, and Houston to anchor yourself. So now why would you want to get up at 2 a.m. every day and be a part of 11 News This Morning? Because it's where you can be as real as the news they cover. And when your workday's over, you can put time into something else you love. Deborah Duncan and 11 News This Morning. We go there.
Diamonds. The Jewelry Source is a direct diamond importer. The Jewelry Source has thousands of diamonds, most with GIA or EGL certs, laser inscribed and guaranteed the lowest price. 1 carat solitaires are $5.99. 1 carat studs $3.99. The Jewelry Source has thousands of rings, pendants, earrings, and bracelets, and specializes in platinum and invisible settings. Only the Jewelry Source gives you a low price and double value guarantee. Buy factory direct. The Jewelry Source in Houston.
Looking for appliances? Come to Cross Timbers Appliance. Open 7 days. Dryers from $99. Refrigerators $125. Stoves $125. Washers $125. 2 years warranty. Come to Cross Timbers Appliance. 1317 Cross Timbers. I-45 North Exit Cross Timbers. Come to Cross Timbers Appliance.
Hi, Tom Tynan here for Due West Foundation Repair. For over 2 decades, the Dutton family has built Due West on a solid foundation of quality and service. Elmer Dutton started the business with that belief, and it continues today with his kids, and soon their kids. You might say that quality work and customer service is a family tradition at Due West. That's what makes Due West the #1 foundation repair company in Houston. If your home needs foundation repair, call the Dutton family at Due West.
In Houston, every day is a news day. At 11 News, you see the day's events from a unique perspective. And at the Houston Chronicle, the city's largest news gathering team goes deep inside every story. Now, 11 News and the Houston Chronicle are working partners, giving you the clearest, most comprehensive view of our city. All newscasts give you some of the news. Only one gives you all of the news. Now with unmatched news gathering resources. 11 News, we go there.
The only team that has really given the Astros problems lately is the Pittsburgh Pirates. So tonight up at PNC Park, the Astros were trying to reverse that trend. But pitcher Tim Redding did not have his best outing in this one. He was roughed up for 5 runs, including this shot by Matt Stairs. The left-handed fireplug took him deep to center. In fact, the ball goes out of the ballpark and actually bounces into the Allegheny River, sending Redding to an early shower. Astros did muscle up in the 6th. First, Jeff Bagwell goes the opposite way. That's home run 401 of his illustrious career, number 200 on the road. And the very next batter up, Jeff Kent. Oh, and it's great to see him hit with power after spending a month on a disabled list. That's number 13 on the season for Jeff, his second in as many games. But in the 9th, tying runs in scoring position, Jeff Blum can't get the job done. He flies to center. Astros lose it 5-3. Now around the league tonight, former Astros Shane Reynolds giving up this 3-run shot to Slammin' Sammy. That's Sosa's 20th as the Cubs clobber the Braves 15-6 tonight. In the American League, the Orioles hosted the Rangers. Baltimore's Jay Gibbons hits the gapper to right center. Doug Glanville and Lance Nix collide, but it's Nix holding on for the out. Despite that nice catch, the Rangers fall to the O's 3-2. You know, cyclist Lance Armstrong has had many incredible days while riding in the Tour de France, but his ride during today's stage will go down in the history books as one of his gutsiest performances ever. With about 6 miles left in today's 99-mile stage, Armstrong falls off his bike when a spectator's outstretched bag catches his handlebars. But he picks himself up and rides on. Then he nearly fell again when his right foot slipped out of his pedal, but he maintained his balance and kept going. Lance says he picked up a big rush of adrenaline after his spill, and it showed. Despite the mishaps, amazingly, he still wins the stage, giving him a 1-minute, 7-second lead over his chief rival, Jan Ullrich, with 5 stages left. Now, Ullrich, by the way, pulled over and waited on Lance after the crash. He did so out of respect for Lance because Lance pulled over and waited for Ullrich after he crashed 2 years ago. It's training camp time around the NFL. While the Texans don't report until Friday, there is some news to report from around the league. Texas A&M standout defensive lineman Ty Warren signed today with the New England Patriots. He was the 13th pick overall. The Patriots camp begins on Wednesday. That's it for sports. See you guys tomorrow.
We'll be here.
All right.
It's not exactly a house of horrors, but Harry Potter fans know it's not home sweet home either. We'll explain.
Here's to Houston. Here's to the pride that sold our heart. Here's to the vision. Here's to the people that we are.
KHOU is television channel 11 in Houston, Texas.
As of the moment, Hurricane Carla is centered. The Galveston station is the key station.
This is the testimony of Martin Luther King.
Sources tell the defenders Firestone plans a partial recall.
This is Jessica Savage, Newswatch 11.
To the hard-working women and men who do it time and time again. As the hours, minutes, seconds spin, oh, can you feel it happening?
What a way to come into this town, too.
Sharon Spear, News 11.
John McElvain, Newswatch 11.
Greg Hurst, 11 News.
Rick's Furniture would like to thank you for the tremendous response. To show our appreciation, we're taking 30 to 70% off the entire store, including major name brands. Need a sofa? We've got all types of high-quality name brand sofas, 30 to 70% off. And a huge selection of mattresses. Beautiful dinette sets like this one, or this one, or this one, all 30 to 70% off. Rick's Furniture, name brands for less.
All right, if you're a Harry Potter fan, then you know all about number 4 Privet Drive.
yes.
And now the house where Harry lived in the movies with his aunt, his uncle, and his obnoxious cousin Dudley, well, it's up for sale.
The real address is 12 Pickett Post Close in Berkshire in the United Kingdom. It'll be auctioned off on July 22nd. The starting price is £250,000. That's about $399,000 US dollars, the going rate in the neighborhood. Bidders, however, might push that higher.
And if you buy, you don't have to sleep in that staircase closet, do you?
But the flying car might come and rescue
You think so? Oh.
That's our news.
We're back here tomorrow. Hope to see you. The Late Show's coming up next. Sleep tight.